Welcome to our next installment of our board game playing as we have conversations around board games and mental health. I'm Dr. Jermaine Ma.
I'm Dr. Paul Hoard.
I am just Paul Steinke.
Not just
Hi.
Paul Steinke. We are all affiliated with the Seattle School of Theology and Psychology. We're glad to have you with us today. Today we're playing Wingspan.
Wingspan, yes.
It's a bird game that is beautiful. This is extra beautiful because this is the nesting box. And we have in addition to that, we have fancy wood pieces, which are fun.
Yes.
The original game already comes with nice wood pieces like the eggs and the food, but we have extra bonuses. So we're glad to have you with us.
Hello.
As we play this game, we're also going to be talking about the topic of is winning everything. And so we'll engage as we play per usual with various conversations about winning. At some point, we'll ask you all what your win condition is. Do you have a win condition? How does winning or competitiveness link also with belonging and our sense of self. So that's kind of where we're going with this. I think we want to do an overview of the game. Is that right?
Yeah,
Sure.
great.
Sure, let's do it.
So with the board game, we're just playing a lot of fun birds. And so you're catching us in the middle of this, and we already have some fun birds on the table. And so we are, basically the most points win.
The most
per
points win.
Which are these little feathery symbols?
Yes. So those are the victory points there. And the victory points that we have are the ones that we have on our board. So cards in our hands don't count until we actually play them. In order to play a bird, it comes at a cost, which are these fun food items here that are, again, fun wood pieces. The original game are just cardboard circles. These are way fun. More fun. And so we have to pay the cost of the birds. For instance, so if I played 2 grubs to put this card here, they are resting in particular habitats, which are indicated here by the upper left-hand corner. So this can be in a couple habitats. This can only be in this wetlands habitat.
Yeah, this is what
Grasslands,
wetlands, forest, and what are these called? That's
Grasslands?
Grasslands, sure.
Thank you. I was like, fields?
Yeah, fields. Acorn fields of acorn.
Fields of acorn. Oh, man. So, I don't know what else.
So overall, we're taking one action from the list here.
Yes.
And then doing that action, the more birds we play, the more actions we get.
Yes.
Kind of sort of like the more powerful we can make those actions as we build out our thing. But this is giving us some direction of some goals to work towards, but then so are we have some individual cards that are
bonus
directing us
cards.
as well.
Yes.
That's right.
We're not doing a full teach though, so we'll have a link to a teaching video that's going to go through more of the details for those of you interested in kind of
Learning about
Wingspan.
Yes.
Yeah.
We just wanted to point out that this is one of my favorite games. I think it's, 1, because it's beautiful, 2, because birds, who doesn't love birds, but they're also very well, you learn a little bit about them. The mechanics of the birds, including their wingspan, hence the name of the game, they're listed here in centimeters. And that all matters for various reasons. I think they do a great job of, having birds. So like big birds that eat rodents or fish, those things happen when things happen there. So.
Fish.
And we're playing with one of the expansions that allows for nectar. Again, the original game comes with this pretty pink cardboard circle. Our wooden pieces are all different kinds of flowers. And so that's another win condition here. As Paul, you were saying, it's their version of an area control.
Yeah, kind of an area control. Who has the most on a particular place?
Spot.
Yeah, on a particular spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I think is interesting about this game compared to the others is that it's one of those games where like the last 2 we've played, all of our attention is on a shared board in the middle. And so while there are some shared components here, a lot of my focus though in playing this kind of game is actually here.
Yeah.
And I can look up at your space, but we each have kind of our own separate spaces. And so it's interesting how that, for me, what that does to my attention. And then I'm curious as we play what that does to our conversation.
Yeah.
As we're no longer looking at a shared thing, we're more spending more time kind of looking at our individual spaces.
Right.
Maybe we'll spend more time talking to ourselves.
Potentially.
Hard for me to spend more. I do a lot.
I do think it's interesting because the more you play the game, the more you're able to think through all the different components. Like there are just a lot of different ways to win. You could just do it straight from, I'm going to put as many points down or as many birds down. But now with this, I'm going to try to have the most there, the most here, the most here. So that makes me then look at what you all are doing, because that then matters.
Yeah.
Now, if it's my first time playing, I'm just trying to figure out the mechanics of this game. So I'm only going to look at me. But the more you play, the more it becomes this. Yeah.
And there are some cards in here that will ask us to interact with each other. Some birds like to steal from other birds. That's how it works.
And there also are birds that are very giving. They do something and everybody gets a nectar. Paul is our first player for this round. We play it 4 rounds.
Yeah, and you can tell that. So we're actually in our 4th round. You'll see
first round, 4th. Yeah.
We each kind of picked a bird to kind of symbolize us. And so the number of birds you have left here, basically the number of actions left to be able to take. So I've done 4 actions. You can see from the 4 birds here, I have 4 left. But Jermaine, it's your turn since I was the starting player.
Yep. So it's now my turn, and I was going to play this bird. So I have, I'm playing a barn swallow. Oh, look at how pretty that is. And I don't have a grub, but I have a nectar, and the nectar goes here because this is that area control part. And I needed to indicate that I played a bird. So that was my playing a bird here. And that is the end of my turn.
That's great. Okay, I'm going to play a bird as well. I'm going to play Swanson's Hawk. Swainson's Hawk, excuse me. I'm going to cover this area. I'm going to play that for a grub and a mouse, but instead I'm going to play a nectar and a grub. So one of these win conditions.
Don't forget your nectar goes onto your nectar.
Oh, thank you.
I guess I could be not.
I know
not
that's
nice.
the truth. That's the truth. One of the win conditions here for this round is that whoever has the most grubs. So you can see us playing little birds that eat grubs, which is kind of a fun little education thing as well.
It is, yeah.
Dr. Hoard.
Right. I'm thinking.
Oh, sorry.
It's a slow process for me. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some eggs. So play that there, and then I grab 2 eggs, and these 2 birds can each have 2 eggs on them. So I'm just going to put an egg on each one. Can I do that? How I do that?
Yep, sounds great.
Then this doesn't activate, so I just slide that guy down.
I think I am going to. I'm going to draw bird cards. Excuse me. And when you draw bird cards, you can either choose to take them from the open spot or from the random spot. But I want these 2, so I'm going to take these 2. And because I'm in here, so I'm taking 2 birds. I shall take these 2 birds. And then when I activate this, it says when activated, draw 2 birds. I think, and these are random birds. So this is a giving bird, folks. I get 1 bird, and all other players draw 1 from the deck.
What?
You're welcome.
I love this bird.
You're welcome.
Who's the bird now?
Nice
It's a Savvy's warbler.
Savvy's warbler.
Oh,
Thanks, Savvy.
Thanks, Savvy.
Thank you,
All right,
Savvy.
that's great. So my turn. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take 2 eggs, and then this will be activated because I'm going from right to left. This says when activated, I look at the card from the deck. If under 75 centimeters, meaning the wingspan is under 75, this little hawk eats it. And this is, I'm going to tuck it behind this bird, and it's 32 centimeters.
Hey.
This is a plains wanderer.
That's
It's been
fun.
wandering a little bit too much. Got to eat.
Wander no more.
Swainson's
Wander no
hawk.
more.
Yep.
And another bit about this game is that the tucked cards end up as another victory point, so
Okay.
that's always nice.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and then play a bird. So I'll put that guy there. To play this bird here, it's going to cost me 3 mice. So here are 3 rodents. So there's 1, 2, and then a nectar for the 3rd. To put that right there.
And I'm going to play I'm going to lay eggs. So I'm going to lay eggs on birds.
Should we have refilled this?
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Sorry. That is, yep. My bad.
Thing.
Forgot about that.
Woodstock.
I'm going to put one here and one here. All right. Oh, wait. When activated, tuck a bird from your hand behind this if you do draw one. Ooh, fancy.
Draw one card.
I would draw one if I do that. Wow, I can choose to cash a bird that's nice or a bird that's mean.
Yeah,
That is
why
interesting.
wouldn't you do a bird that's mean?
When given that choice, how could you be mean?
How could you be mean? Well, if we're thinking about when playing is winning everything.
Yeah, but with this, is it because of the eyes of the
The
assembly, the
assembly?
great crowd of witnesses?
So what I would do normally is, actually, I'm not going to do it just to be mean, but I'm going to see which one actually benefits me in the long run.
There you go.
So if I'm thinking about what benefits me in the long run, it is actually going to be to cash the mean card. So I'm going to tuck this behind this card.
All right, so
That's the end of my turn.
I'm gonna get some more eggs.
Okay, we're coming to the end of the round. It's getting close.
I'm gonna activate it. I'm gonna draw, and let's see if it's below. Whoa. Now what does that mean? An emu doesn't seem like it's going to be below. But why wouldn't it have
So I
like
think
a specific?
That's a
You know what?
that's a wild wingspan. So it counts.
That's strange that a
It
hawk
is
would
interesting
take down
that
an
it could
emu,
be
but maybe
like-
it can. Maybe they're small.
Yeah, because their wingspan
Let's
is
see if
either.
there's,
I don't
let's see if
know.
there's information about the emu. Some indigenous cultures see an emu in the clouds of the Milky Way. It emerges. That's no information about.
About the mechanic
wingspan.
of the part that we're going for here.
Nope.
That's right.
I think that's
I'll take it.
interesting.
The hawk can take it. Of course, hawks can take down lots of things. I don't know about the Swainson's hawk in particular.
All right. I'm going to draw some more cards. So I will draw this one and this one. And then when activated, look at a card. I want a wingspan over 65.
Ooh, that looks.
And I didn't get it.
No.
That's only going to be on 35% of the cards.
No.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Well,
Isn't that interesting? Things
That is
that make you go,
mm,
hmm.
all right. So that was my turn. So then that goes right there.
All right. So
Makes sense.
I'm playing a bird. I am playing this common nightingale, which means I can do one or the other. I'm using a berry, and it costs me an egg, which I don't think it matters at this point. So that cost me an egg. And your turn.
Okay. So I am going to get some food. I'm going to deliver this card to Gab 2. And so I will grab these two. Watch the daisies.
Oh, that was a grub, yeah.
That was a grub. All right.
All right.
Last turn in this round.
Last turn.
Make it count, Dr. Hoard. Make it count.
I'm playing a bird. And I shall spend one of my eggs to play this bird. And it is a Bonelli's Eagle. And you might be thinking, but you don't have any food. Well, when played, for each of the rodent requirements in this bird's cost, you may pay a card from your hand instead.
What?
If you do, tuck them behind this card. So he ate all my other birdies.
He ate all your
Wow.
other
3 other
Wow,
cards.
That's a vicious bird.
He
What
can
kind
go
of bird is that?
anywhere. It's an eagle.
Oh, yeah.
It's very vicious and nutritious. So we're just going to put that bird right there.
All
and I
right.
spent the egg already to be able to do that, and that's going to be the end of my round.
That's the end of your round. Okay, so I think I'm gonna take another egg. So I'll take another egg. You here.
I had to pick 2 grubs, which is interesting.
And then I'm gonna move it here. So choose a food type. All their players gain 1 of that from the supply.
Yes.
So I'm gonna take wheat. So everybody gets wheat.
Okay. With my final turn.
Oh wait, hold on.
Oh,
I
I'm
have
sorry.
to do
I'm sorry.
this other
Oh, yeah. You have
Tuck
another
behind
whole other
the
card.
She's got
cards.
Jermaine's got
A
things
whole
happening.
slew.
So then you were saying, Paul, that you're not terribly fond of Wingspan.
I have said that before, yes.
You haven't.
What?
So tell me
Yeah,
about.
what-
so tell me. So
yeah,
tell me
what
about.
is it about
Tell
that
me.
you don't
Wait. What is that about?
A little bit of it is what I mentioned a a moment ago around.
Excuse me.
Please
I'm
take
going to
your
be
turn.
playing the black-headed gull,
Oh dear.
and this I have to pay for it. That's all I wanted to announce. Thank you. Go ahead.
This is happening.
This is happening. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. What is it about?
Oh wait, I can't play this here.
Oh, that's in the wrong
Pardon.
habitat.
Can't
Yeah.
do that.
I will play it here though.
And you need to spend it.
And I will spend an 8 to do that. This, when activated, I can steal 1 resource from another player's supply and add it to my own supply. They gain 1 die from the bird feeder.
Oh,
That's
they
what
would
they're
gain
doing.
so much
Yeah, so
That's when
anybody.
when activated.
When
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's round. That's the
the end
round.
of the
That's
round.
the round. Okay,
so
so
we
we
can
do
do the end round thing.
Okay.
So we're gonna score any. If there's any end round powers here, it would be blue.
I don't have any.
So if anyone had a blue thing, that's what it. Score end round goals. Ties are friendly. So the end round is number of grubs. So count the number of grubs.
Well, I
that are in
only
your
have
thing.
3.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I got 0 points.
I got 5. So I get the most. What?
There we go.
And then we, I think we clear these birds
Yep.
away, and
Fine.
then we're gonna redo this guy. Oh, look at this pretty bird.
They are
They're just
lovely.
so
The bluebird.
And so the goal now for round 2 to get some of these extra points
Yep.
is to have eggs in bowl nests.
Bowl nests.
Yes.
Bowl nests.
And then the first player token gets moved to the left, so that means I am the first player this round.
There's only one person. There's one person who has 2 bowl nests.
And it's not me.
And it's not me either.
It's not
the
a Paul.
Pauls. It's not a Paul. All right,
It's
so
not a
tell me
Paul.
But
about-
also the starred nests also count.
Dang. Jermaine's cleaning up.
One of us knows how to play this game.
One of us
Play this
does.
game.
Which
Which is interesting because I chose this game.
which isn't surprising, but it also takes us back to your comment about win condition. Because this is, I think,
Yep.
interesting, right? We all start the game on some level. We can presume, or we're supposed to at least pretend, our win condition is whatever the game posits, right? Get the most leaf
Yep.
or feathers. But one round in, I got no points there. I think it's interesting how like my win condition might now shift.
Yeah.
From I'm going to win the game to, oh shoot, I want to not feel embarrassed at the end of the game. So now my win condition is more about not losing, or maybe shifting into
Yep.
a not losing,
Yep.
as
Yep.
opposed to I need to win.
Yeah.
Now this is still the beginning, so I'm not saying it, but I think
Right.
what's interesting about what we do with win conditions is that they're useful when when they feel attainable.
Yes. Yes.
And I'll check out of a game when I'm either so far ahead that I feel like I don't need to care anymore, or I'm so far behind
Yeah.
that the actual win condition of the game doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
And so often in those moments, we'll then find another condition that meets that need, that meets that fits that those conditions of being attainable but not attained.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something to work towards, a
Yeah.
limit to push into, if you will.
Which is also interesting that you mentioned that, and it could have been interesting for us to have stated what our win condition was in the beginning of the game, right? Like, and you kind of alluded to the fact that, oh, I wanted to win the game.
Yeah.
I also wanted to win the game. What was your win condition in the beginning?
I with Wingspan it's a little bit different because Wingspan isn't a game that Wingspan's pretty random, and so for me there's kind of a knowing that like the capacity of to be able to win. It's not to say that there's not a lot involved in it, but for me I'm sort of like I'm kind of interested in like, well, can I do this?
I forgot about the bonus.
Yeah, can I do what this bonus says it is, and then and how would I do that? And so like the first thing that I put out here isn't worth any points unto my win,
Your
my,
win
the win
condition,
condition here. So I'm kind of intrigued by. I appreciate the sets, like creating the sets and enjoying the birds of Wingspan.
Yeah.
So to me, Wingspan is a lazy Sunday afternoon game.
To enjoy
It's not
the
like
environment.
to enjoy the environment, to enjoy the birds. I'm not terribly moved by winning this game.
Yeah.
Like that's not
Yeah.
I don't play Wingspan so that I can win a game.
Right. Yeah.
According to the game standards, I'm more like, oh yeah, let's get some birds out.
Yeah.
That's sort of the thing.
Does your win condition also involve not just maybe the environment you're creating, but the people that you're playing with as well?
At times it will. Like
Okay.
part of it is if someone's new and I'm teaching the game,
Right.
that's a high value for me. Is that people learn are able to learn how to play a game.
Right.
And especially if, I was just playing a game, another popular game, Azul, with somebody who doesn't like games. And so playing with her there was a value in, I think she may have won or her husband may have won. I can't remember, but that was I did not. And so that to me is I feel bad if I am teaching a game and I win the game that I'm teaching.
Yeah, because then it's like you didn't do your job in terms of helping
then helping people win.
Right.
So it's a little bit. So I have a little bit kind of a fuzzier win condition. We were talking a little bit earlier that I think my win, that sort of coming to a game, that type of a game in that way, is really oriented around not being able to win. First, I sort of I settled on win conditions that were way different.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
I mean, it sounds like your win condition your win condition isn't winning or losing a game per se. It's to help another person learn the game.
Yeah, and explore the game. I actually love to explore the game, explore what the designer's doing with the game.
Right.
That's super fun for me.
Yeah. So it's interesting because it expands this notion of what win condition is.
Yeah,
is it just a win or lose?
Yeah.
You're saying no, you're expanding that definition to being like enjoying the world that the game creator has produced or dreamed up of.
Yeah.
It's interactive and interpersonal with the person that you're teaching it with.
Yeah.
Or to
absolutely.
So I think that's also interesting.
Yeah.
Now, does your win condition change depending on where you are in that game, given that win condition?
Absolutely. So I mean, what Paul said is like if I have the opportunity, so let's say I'm not teaching a game and I have the opportunity in this case if at some point I would have the opportunity to win, then I'd be like, oh, I want to win. But like right now, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
At least I don't care about like the points.
Right.
I'm more interested in the birds and and what I can find.
But the points do orient your play. They do give you a way to consider like why you play one card over another card.
Sure. But this isn't. It's not necessarily the points though, because like the points won't. These points won't win me the game.
Sure.
But these points will help me. It's directing the set.
It orients because there's so many choices to make. It helps give us direction.
Exactly.
So there's some level of the points as the game posits them.
Well, and and every designer. I mean, every designer has some type of win. Like, here's how you win the game.
Yeah.
And so that's how you orient yourself to explore the game.
Right.
Now there would be some open sandbox. These are actually more and more popular where it's hard to tell what is the win condition. The win condition is actually like I'm thinking of Earthborn Rangers, which is something that Paul and I talked about a little bit. It's kind of an open area. I haven't read a lot about it, so I don't know exactly, but it's more of like the win condition is to explore. Is literally to explore the game and have all these different sort of interactions and things of that nature. And so the guide there isn't necessarily points. The guide is, there's a journey to take and what's in front of you. And so to interact with the game in that kind of way, which is a different kind of way of exploring. But
But I do appreciate what you're saying. Sorry, you're going to say something.
No, go for it.
That the points do matter. Like there's this sense that the game creators have put into play where the points matter to motivate you to actually engage with the game. Because at any point you can be like, meh, it doesn't matter. So you can like then completely disengage, which is a different kind of thing about, is winning everything, but what is winning in general?
Sure.
And is in that case is winning even in your condition. Like winning your win condition might not be winning per se, but disengagement to me sounds like that would be your losing in some ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You bet.
You're going to say something.
No, I think that there's a lot here because what's interesting, the win, part of what the win condition does for us is give us a shared language.
Yeah.
Because we all have these points and we have our oriented differently to how we'll get them, but it's kind of shared points. It actually gives us a way to make sense of each other's movements. If you completely disengage from the points, we're not even playing the same game anymore, even though we're moving the same pieces.
Right.
And to me, that can feel very isolating of like, we're actually not playing the game anymore. We're doing a totally separate activity, which is a fine activity, but I would want to be oriented to that's the activity we're doing. Whereas I think, yeah, we're each going to take the game's win condition and wrestle with that with ourselves. And I think that's going to be modified as the game goes on. But even that win condition is always nestled within, why are we playing this game?
Yeah.
Right. And I think this is where one of the places where you and I differ a little bit, Paul, is
Yeah,
like
big time.
why we play games. Like, what's that bigger reason that draws us to the table?
Yeah.
Like, what's our relationship to games in general is a little bit different. I hear yours a lot around hospitality and around exploration. I find that the agency that gets pulled out of me and the different people at the table, and then that social aspect, really fascinating.
Yeah. Well, and you're probably, your desire to connect is different than mine, because you connect and you're like, your connection is about, I want to beat you. And so I'm going to sort of, at least this is the story that I tell myself.
I want to tussle with you.
Yeah.
I want to have a safe place to tussle.
The competition.
that's right.
I like sparring.
Yeah.
Where we're not
right.
hurting each other.
Yeah.
But we are making contact.
Yeah. That's right.
Like you're sharpening each other in the contact. so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah.
Iron sharpening iron, if you want to use that sort of
But if that goes to the extent, right, and I see this on a spectrum of the one side winning, like that sparring goes to hurting, right? We're now, even like kind of as we were joking about, with Jermaine, are you going to get the more aggressive bird or not? Right? When that gets into, you're not just getting no more aggressive bird, you are hurting me, right? When I'm so invested or you're so invested, then winning for me as the game posits just disappears. Like we've lost the point,
right?
Because winning always needs to be in service of something bigger, right? Of something more. Or, right, if we take that too far and we just stop caring, then that's kind of like that disengagement. So there is a level of like, yeah, I want the sparring, but I don't want the sparring at the expense of the relationship.
Yeah.
Which I think is also fascinating, because you already alluded to the fact that the win condition continues to shift throughout, not only in terms of, you mentioned in the very beginning, like, now I don't want to embarrass myself. So there's a sense of self, but then there's also a sense of interpersonal, right? Like, then if it gets to like, if I'm going to hurt you, then my win condition will change, because now the relationship matters more than me just winning the game. But I also want to preserve my sense of self as well. Like, I still want to know that I don't feel like a total failure or dumb or shamed or all the different things. So it's those are interesting sort of things that are also nestled within the reality of the game. Yeah.
Well, it's like on I think our first episode, Paul, when you were talking about how chess sometimes is like a measurement of intelligence, right? So the game's now not just the game. It's actually, it's expanded and means something else. And so winning at chess or losing at chess isn't just winning or losing at chess. And that's, I think, also an important, because that plays into the social, where like, oh, if I lose at this, does that mean I'm not a good game player and that you won't want to play with me after a while, or that, that I don't belong here anymore.
Yes. Yeah. And that exactly, it ties into their sense of belonging as well. And I think there's also this in the sort of the intrapersonal as well as the interpersonal, right? Like, there's a sense of, do I belong? Do I think I belong here? But also, does the win condition also push my belonging as well? Like, if I just beat you outright and don't care about you, then you might have a sense of like, oh, what just happened here? Do we actually belong to each other at all?
Is your winning the game the most important thing? And for some it is. And like, yeah, that's why I'm playing a game.
Well, and that's one of the reasons, though, that I think like board game competitions totally change your relationship with the game, because when winning now means money, or winning means a tier in something else, right? It's sort of like the difference between sports and gambling. Now it actually takes on, if we're putting money on the line here, we're going to bet something on it changes your relationship to that win condition. I think legacy games are another fascinating one, right? Because now you're also putting, do I win this round? But what happens with like how does that affect the next 15 times we're going to play this? And so you're making, and that's one of the things I love about that, is it kind of messing with, maybe I'll lose this round because I'm trying to win the bigger picture, or set myself up or set us up. And that begins to mess with, well, what's a win? And where do we then draw the line? Right? At what point are we saying, this is contained as it is? Which is
also interesting, because you even just talked about, we've just played one round. And is your win condition, I'm just going to win this round? Or is it, I'm going to win the next 2 rounds? Or is it, I'm going to win the entirety of the game? So that.
Well, we already know what you're thinking.
I know.
This is actually really impressive. Actually, looking at this, you've really
set yourself up really well.
I've been looking at all 4 of them and trying to make sure that I have things.
I mean, this is pretty. These are actually high points there. I haven't looked at that.
Which is another, like in some games do this, where you can track how people are doing throughout it.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes it's sort of like you don't really know until the end of it. It's revealed.
Yeah.
And like it's also just how does it interact with your feelings? Like how do you feel in the moment? Right? There's something about like I decided I wasn't going to care about this.
Yeah.
And yet still getting 0 points was like, but guys, but I didn't want to be the last one. I knew I didn't care, but
maybe I do care.
Apparently I did at least a little bit.
That's right. I'm getting 0 points on camera.
But even though knowing that like I had actually been orienting what little strategy I have around endgame scoring.
Yeah.
It's good.
With these. Anyway, just think that's.
Yeah, it's super interesting. Were you taking 3? Or are you going to give up nectar?
Yeah, get egg.
Giving up an egg.
He wanted it all.
And this is. Oh, and then I have to activate.
Now
So then I
activate it.
steal 1 from another player's supply. What you guys got?
I only have.
Well, I am going to take me a nectar there, sister. I'm going to take me a nectar. I'm going to take the red one because that's pretty. But then you get to add. Then you get to take one from the bird feeder,
Oh,
Which
I'll
has
just
a
take another nectar.
which is, and then I get to draw 1 card. So that's that.
I
So
guess.
then we refill this.
Ooh, I have 2 owls in my hand. One is a spotted owl that comes and says hi to me every once in a while.
In real life?
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
I'm gonna do.
I don't know if it's this particular owl, but
It could be, though.
but it could be.
I'm gonna do a poll.
Pops up.
So I'm gonna go ahead and draw these 2 birds into my hand, and then when activated, I get to flip over this. Is it a big bird?
Yes.
Nope, it's
Oh.
a little bird.
Bird.
I should flip these over first, because that one would have worked.
Well,
Oh, that one would have worked.
we wouldn't flip them over until you're in.
I was just complaining. That is my mumble unhappiness. Here we go.
I didn't do that. My bad, but it doesn't matter.
Are you still looking at the end wind conditions? All of them?
All of them.
You're sort of balancing them.
Yes and no. I mean, I shall play a bird. Yep. And I'll put this bird because it has to go here.
That's a nut. Is that a nutfinch?
It is a red-breasted nuthatch.
Nuthatch or nuthatch.
And then I have to take. It cost me an egg, so.
My win condition is memorizing all the birds.
On everybody's and their location.
And their location.
Where they're found.
I'm impressed that you were like, "Is that a nutfinch?" And I was like, "Wow."
Well, we have these birds in our backyard that look like that. Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's fun.
all to say. Okay, so I'm gonna take some. Food, and I'll discard this one, Eastern Bluebird, and but I didn't want those. I was actually hoping that.
You can spend a food too.
Well, but I'm here on this one,
Oh, just kidding.
right? So I can't. So I have to
You have to choose.
get what I get.
You do
and
also
not pitch
have
a
that
fit.
that thing later where 2 equals a 1.
Yeah, thank you. That's good. Thank you. That doesn't help me, but it's good. I just because it does, I did forget about it. So that's good. All right. So I'll just take these 2.
I mean, alternatively, you could have taken the fish and then re-rolled it.
Oh, that's a good call. Yeah, actually,
Look
I
at me
will
helping
do
you
that.
out.
I know.
Look at me helping you
That's
out.
your win condition is helping out. That's
Well,
good.
That is a whole nother thing here.
What's that?
Well, the idea of winning just because you got the most points, or winning because you playing against the best version of your opponents.
It goes with your tussling idea, right? Like, I want to be able to help you so that we have a better
So we actually
wrestling
have
match.
I want there to be an actual.
Like, I want the competition to be high.
Yeah.
Or higher.
Yeah, I mean that almost annoys me.
Say more.
Well, it's sort of like that I have to show up in sort of the best my best self to the game in order to satisfy your win condition.
See, but you're adding a have to.
Well, but that's exactly what I did. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like that's like, oh, that's annoying.
Well, I
get annoyed.
I hear it more in the sense of like, or at least the way happens for me is like, at times when I see was sort of like, oh, you could have done it this way, which Jermaine just did, pointed out a better way to handle that situation.
Yeah.
Is do I not say it because haha, it's better for me, Paul struggled.
Yeah. Or
do I mention it because even though that goes against what I'm supposed to be winning, if this is purely cutthroat, I'd rather be playing in a way where we're helping each other because winning for me because you made a bunch of silly mistakes actually cheapens the entire experience for everybody.
Yeah.
So it's not saying you have to play
you're aware of it.
Yeah. When there's something that I see that we could have done differently. It's sort of like to me, it's similar to when someone goes, "Oh, do you mind if I take that back?"
So you're not saying that somebody has to show up with their best game necessarily, or somebody showing up with their best. You're saying helping people realize the options that are actually there, the available options.
Yeah.
That are sort of that they're missing out on, or things that they may be missing out on.
Silly mistakes that they would have otherwise seen, but for other things that, particularly around lack of familiarity with the game.
Yeah. I mean, that would drive me crazy. I mean, just to speak out of the other side of my mouth, that'd drive me crazy to play with people who didn't do that.
Mm-hmm. Who didn't help elevate the conditions.
Yeah. I mean, that would because I want the game play. Like, I don't need someone to show up with their best game necessarily. And that's probably how I heard you. But I do want people to like, you could do this, or this is really cool.
To have all the opportunities that are there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. And to sort of, and to even, on some things they talk about game combos where you're able to take a turn, which reaches a turn, reaches a turn. That's super fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then there's people who are like, no, I'm not interested. Okay, I get that too.
Well,
play your own game.
Because there's an appreciation for whether it's me doing a good move or you doing a good move. I appreciate a good move.
Exactly
it's kind of fun to see the game be able, somebody be able to work the mechanics of the game in such a way that that's really neat how you did that.
Right.
And even Jermaine being able to connect
all of those
right there. It's that is bad for me on one level. It's purely the game, but on another level, it's really neat to see how to see you do that well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm gonna take some
food.
It is interesting too what you were just saying about the kind of elevating the conditions, because I could have held it to myself and in my mind I could have been like, oh, he could have done that.
Yeah.
But we're able to sort of open up possibilities for each other by actually speaking out loud.
Totally. Yes, absolutely.
And that could have been part of my win condition where I'm like, no, my game is to win the game, so I'm not going to disclose any of the things that he just missed.
Yeah. There's a guy who I play with who will play games with who will be like, oh, I see a great move that you could do.
And then he doesn't say it.
No, he just says, I'm so not interested.
Yeah.
I'm so not interested in that. I'm like, good. I'm glad you
I'm glad you can see that.
I have a bird for you right now. There's a bird I feel like giving you.
Oh, man, it's so true. But I think that's one of the things that I don't like about that type of gamesmanship where you're sort of like you're up one on me.
Yeah.
And that's some of what games easily.
I'm spending a thing together.
There are some games that I think that's nestled in part of the game, like diplomacy. We mentioned before.
The diplomacy goes right to that. You don't see this. You have to not see this.
And I want you to not see it. And I'm going to sit here anxiously hoping you're not going to see it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas a game like this, like you said, this is a Sunday afternoon.
Right.
And so I do think even recognizing, what's the kind of play we're all getting involved in here?
Thank you.
It's very kind.
It's the one that keeps on giving.
It's the giving bird.
Activated, tuck a card from your hand.
It's the one that keeps on giving as I slowly win.
As I slowly win this game.
It just gives me more than it gives you.
It just gives.
No
one gives us all something.
Yeah, and that's so important is that, there's this what they call cutthroat games.
Yes, yes, it is your turn.
Okay, I'm going to play this one. This is when I draw, I'm going to play this. I'm going to draw 2 new bonus cards. That's to keep one. This is a spotted owl, and it takes a mouse and a mouse. I'm going to play Nectar and a mouse. And that's played. Whoops. So I'm going to take 2 new bonus cards.
And do you choose one or do you keep both of them?
I choose one.
Okay, good.
I keep one.
Okay. I'm going to play a bird. Do you mind if I go while you're deciding, Paul?
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Okay. I'm going to play the tawny frogmouth here,
Tawny frogmouth.
which is going to use the worm that Jermaine gave me to be
You're
able to
welcome.
do this. So thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
I'm
fun.
just going to spend that egg to do it. And that.
I like that. So this is a photographer. Birds with colors in their names.
Yeah, it
Like,
is
that's
fun.
the kind of I like that.
Yeah,
that's the kind of stuff I appreciate. That's the Sunday afternoon aspect of this. I'm like,
There was one that
okay.
I didn't keep that said,
Something that seems unexpected. Like,
right. Ones with like body parts in their names, or ones with names of like people, or it's kind of fun. All the different ones.
Because then there's the opposite side of that, where somebody plays your game for you.
Oh, when they keep telling you, like, oh, you should have done this.
Oh
or,
my gosh!
yeah,
Or you
that's
could,
the
hey,
worst.
I have an idea. You can do this, and this, and it's like, oh, please, not that.
And that is particularly with a new game when you're teaching somebody, that I find that tension strong, where what's going to feel like I'm not helping you at all and I'm just leaving you just do it.
High and
Yeah.
dry.
And at what point am I leaning too much in? I know that there's a personality, there's a social context,
Yeah.
but
There's
there
lots-
definitely is a point at which you've gone way too far.
yeah, sure.
I know that point well. I may be guilty of some sins over there.
Oh my goodness, that's
I don't know what I'm trying to do, folks.
is ash a color?
I would say yes.
Okay. Not to give away what I would
What you're
choose.
trying to. So maybe I should just.
yeah.
Oh, you want that one?
Yeah.
I think I need to. I do think I need birds, and I'm not going to take that one, just because you did say it. But I won't. I think I
I mean,
want.
you're welcome to.
No, I don't. I think I'm going to random.
There's
I'm gonna
all
take random
kinds of
cards.
birds with
I get 2
colors in their names.
random
Turns out.
cards,
Mhm.
and then draw 2. Oh, draw 2. All other players draw 1 from the deck. So you guys get 1
Thank
each.
you.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
That's the bird I was looking
Oh,
for.
that's fun.
Hey, that's your turn.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get some food. And would you pass me them food
Yes,
dice?
you go.
Okay.
I do.
Oh,
love this
hello,
bird.
hello. Wait, no. Yeah, that's my turn. Like
right.
this whole thing confuses me. I get confused.
2 eggs here, and then it says when activated, reset the bird feeder.
Hey.
So here we go. Then cache a worm or a rat from the bird feeder. There we go.
Worm and a rat.
Cache. This is a worm or rat
A worm
on this
or a
bird.
rat.
So I'm
Yeah.
taking a worm and I'm putting it on this little
Nice.
bird.
Do we get a worm or a rat?
Unfortunately,
The rest of
probably
y'all
not.
get nothing.
Nothing.
You know what you deserve.
Nothing. This is now. Turning the corner.
Beyond games, this idea of win conditions
Mhm.
I think it's so significant in terms of like what's orienting us. You know, you can think of it even in terms of expectations at a party.
Without question.
Like, what are you hoping
Yes.
is going to happen?
Yeah.
And the other side of it, though, that I think is interesting is the idea of like gamification. So what we're doing here in Wingspan is, you know, we have this arbitrary idea of victory points. I don't know what they call them here, which is a made up currency.
Yeah.
That's attempting to, in some ways, put a number on something that you can't really try. Like, what is it representing? How well our bird preserves are thriving?
Yeah.
And we're going to try to put a number there. And what's interesting is the number is important because, like we talked about, it guides our desires, it helps us make choices. But the number is not necessarily correlating with a thriving. Doesn't actually mean your habitat's doing well. It's a way to think about it, but it's not the only. And I think recognizing that distance between what's my overarching goal, maybe play, but then the win condition, winning, those aren't necessarily saying that you can win and have a horrible time, and you can lose and have a wonderful time. Now, oftentimes I enjoy winning, but those aren't the same.
Yeah.
And if they do become the same, it actually means games are kind of a net negative on the world. Any competitive game is because one person will win and everybody else loses. So most people lose.
Oh yeah.
It becomes
Most games-
a zero-sum game.
Yeah, games create more losers than winners.
Yeah.
And so if that's the main goal, games are actually kind of a net drag on the world.
Yeah.
Well, instead you're talking about a couple different layers of even win conditions,
exactly.
right, of what it means to win. There's that notion of the finite games and infinite game. And you're talking, some of what I'm hearing you say anyway, is that the infinite game, winning at an infinite game, is different than winning at a finite game. So we might lose at this, or I might lose at this finite game, but I'll win at the infinite one.
Yeah. Well, but it's what's in service of what?
Sure.
It's kind of how I think. Like I'm going to submit myself to caring about these little feathers.
Yeah.
For the sake of playing with you two.
Yeah. Right.
Whereas, like, it's not that I
care about
you two so that I can get my little feathers.
Right.
But sometimes but these can become so real.
Oh yeah.
And what's interesting to me is, regardless of even how abstract or silly a game is, how much it can pull my emotion.
Oh yeah.
Like the game we played yesterday, I was feeling my anxiety as other people took turns waiting for, like, am I going to be able to do the thing I want to do? Is this going to work out for me? Right? Like, and I'm like, but it's so arbitrary. That's the other thing about game. We made up winning. Yeah. It's a made up, like, it's not really a thing.
It's not like we don't get an award.
There's nothing actual, like, it's other than our imagination.
Yes. Yeah.
Which going back to our previous conversation, we make it more valuable by making it harder, right? By making sure we're helping each other, we actually make the value of winning go up. Whereas if I knew I win, but I cheated, I've actually cheapened the win itself as well.
Sure.
Yep.
Or I won because you were, off paying attention to something else and just not really, not caring. Yeah.
And it is interesting, I think, what you're saying too, the changing of the win condition as well. Because there is a point, at least for me, there are games where I'm like, I know I'm not going to win, but how do I still engage and still have fun? And so for me, it's like I lower the bar for me, but maybe raise the bar in terms of my engagement with everyone else, right? So I think that's also an interesting way. Or I lower the bar for me. I'm like, I'm not going to win, but I'm at least going to try to maybe get like 1 point. Or I think about this with that game Set. I'm terrible at that game.
Oh, Set,
being able to see the patterns.
Yep. Well, it gives me a headache with my color blindness.
That
game is actually quite physically painful.
Yeah.
It's a game that I just am terrible at. But I'll play with other people for the sake of playing the game with others, knowing I will never win. But I'll do it. And my mini goal is like, if I get 1, that's like a win, right? So it's interesting.
I'm curious about one of the things I feel at times. I'm curious if you guys feel this, is that I am, that because I don't compete at a certain level, that I am not selected.
It's that belonging piece again.
It's the belonging piece. Yeah. It's sort of like, because like people don't ask me to play chess. I'm not that great at chess. People who care about chess don't ask me to play chess. My own kids don't ask me to play chess anymore.
I personally am okay with it. I'm like, I don't really like chess, so I'm okay not to be picked.
Well, it's less about, for me, I think it's less about, this is where the win condition is interesting. And it sort of begins to warp. What are we actually talking about here? Because it becomes then the condition upon which, because I can't compete at a certain level, it becomes the condition in which I at least interpret myself either being selected or not selected to participate.
And or belonging or not
belonging. Or belonging or not belonging, and so that's always harder for me. That's harder for me. And that's where I wish I could, I probably could. I wish I was, this is where I begin to struggle with why can't I? What is it about that? What is it about chess that doesn't make sense to me in a particular kind of way where it makes sense to somebody else? Right? And that sense of, and I felt this, in various significant relationships in my life, right? That's not like a new thing. This is sort of like, oh wow, like I wish I could compete with my father at that level, or I wish I could compete with, at some level, there's only so many times, I had an older brother who would just play chess with me again and again and again. But there's not, somebody beats you badly once or twice, and you're like, maybe I won't want to play with you anymore. I think that's a different kind of angle on the win condition, where that notion of, the people who are there who are highly competitive in the same kind of way get to play in a certain, which I think is the earlier piece when I was like, that's annoying. That's what that touches on. Is it's like, oh, that actually is. And I think there's because of that in me, I think that's some of why I back away from that highly competitive thing.
Yeah.
And choose instead to live a different kind of win condition and I love games.
Yeah.
But it's for that sake of belonging.
Yeah. Which is also an interesting point because
is it my turn?
It's Jermaine's turn.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure. It wasn't my turn. That's good. I'm happy to wait for you.
No. I was just gonna say it's an interesting point because even though we're talking about games, we're also hinting at is it touches on these real life and real pains and hurts and it can go as far as to maybe traumas, but like things in our life that maybe we're trying to work out in a different way.
Yeah.
It provides a different kind of arena for us to, maybe it be a redemptive sort of thing.
Yeah, enact.
Yeah, it's different in a different way.
Yes, in a different kind of way. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And joys. And I think the flip side of feeling like you don't belong is because there are times when it does provide a sense of connection and a sense of belonging and a sense of play. And so I think there's recognizing the hurts that are there, but then also the hope for the connection and the joy that can also be there.
Yeah.
So there's that kind of the presence of both, I think, is also what, like games, they take us so close to such joy and such pain.
Yeah.
Well, I think my original question was, what's yours? Do you guys experience that? Do you guys experience at least, whether it's very rarely that somebody, will say, anymore, I'm not picking you. Or you're getting picked last.
We're not in gym class.
You're not in gym class, which was great, right? But I mean, this is, in one sense of knowing that you're being selected or not selected based on how you play a game. Or how you saddle up to a win condition, and it could be because you're really competitive.
Well, and I was going to say that's something that I know I've heard before is that sometimes, Paul, I'm worried you're going to take this too seriously. So I'm told that I'm intimidating.
Yeah,
that's good. So so we just want to have a light game.
So you don't get invited.
So I don't get invited because. And my own story, I'm like, I'm not always competitive, but of course, obviously that's a piece of me.
Yeah, sure.
But there can be a sense of, I find myself on the other side trying to convince people, this doesn't have to be. Like, I'm also very happy to play a game where we just sort of look at the birds and enjoy it. And I don't engage this game the way I would, and I do love chess, the way I would play chess. Right. And I've played chess for very different reasons than I would play this game.
Right.
Repeat your question one more time.
Yeah, my question is really around, do you ever find yourself, because of how you approach a win condition and this is it's rare at least that we get told something as explicitly as what Paul is being told, but where you have a sense that, I'm not being selected because of my win condition. Yeah. Or I'm not being selected because I can't, I'm not as competitive, or I'm not this.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's it's similar but opposite to what you just said. Like, folks aren't, the story you tell yourself is that they're not having you play with them because you're too competitive. I think for me, it's, am I not getting invited because I'm not competitive enough? Like, can I hang with, like the cool kids or whatever we want to call it.
The cool competitive kids.
The cool competitive kids. In like the complicated games So I think about that. But I also think about how I show up, and depending on the game, right? Like, it depends on the game, who's playing it, what purposes. Like, if it's a lighter game, I mean, the reality is I actually enjoy games that I have to engage a little bit more, competitively and strategically. I mean, I don't mind the party games. But the level of joy I get are different, and the win condition is different. The win condition there is like, it's to be with people. It's to, maybe I want to win. But so, I guess I do have a sense of like, am I getting selected? And I think we've talked about this before in maybe the first or second episode about what it means to be welcome to the table or not, right? So I think for me, it's that. It's the inclusion, the belonging. being selected.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Maybe I'm thinking of this perhaps more through the lens of sports because I'm a terrible athlete, right? It would be another way that I feel like I'm trying to connect, because there's a sense of like I've also been in places where I've been invited to play a game, and I've realized like I have felt not anybody didn't want me there explicitly, but that the game was different because I'm terrible at what we're doing here. Like, it's like we're going on a hike and I'm just not that good at hiking. So everybody else can't hike as far because they're trying to include me. And I realized, I feel awkward because of this, because now like the disparities felt, and I realized they're now not doing what they had actually agreed said they wanted to do.
Yeah,
and so there's almost a sense, so sometimes there's a sense of like, I kind of wish you just sort of let me know that everybody wanted to do a really big hike that's not for me. And I could have like self-selected out of that. Like had I known, I wouldn't have put myself in here. And so sometimes it is almost being more explicit. Like I do want to have a more competitive game, or we do want to have a more relaxed game.
Right.
Being able to just acknowledge that and that there's nothing wrong with the fact that I can't play basketball that well. And that sometimes people want to play a competitive game of basketball. Like, I think that's great. I don't want to have any part of that. I don't want to be around
that. Sounds like humiliation to me.
But if you want to goof off and play horse, okay, sure, I'll happily lose a game of horse to you. And we can maybe get back to playing here in a second. But just to say, like, you both on one level have the same win condition, right? You're both trying to win the game. But the framing of that,
it's way different.
Right? It's just so different. And so I think, so there's like, so a game like this, like maybe Paul, you're here to get to know the birds and to have fun with it. And I'm here because I want to show that I can win a game, right? And we're both playing the same game with victory points, but our orientation to that victory point, win condition, is also different. Which I think is beautiful. It's really fun when we can have conversation about it, and probably and like appreciation for different ways. Other times, of course, that gets really irritating because you're like, I don't like playing with that person. Because even though we play the same game, it's like we're not playing the same game.
Well, when we were talking about, we've played some pretty intense games around our table, my table, and I think we were talking about even just stating beforehand, what kind of a game is this? Like what like at some level, that shifts it to say, this is. This is the kind of game that it helps people orient themselves. Like, this is okay. Okay. Like, there's only so competitive this game is going to be. We're not going to start throwing eggs at each other.
It is interesting though, because I think what you're both bringing up is this how implicit usually that is in terms of win condition, because we don't actually talk about that out loud. It's internal. It's an internal process, and we have various levels of awareness of our win condition as it shifts throughout the game, interpersonal, intrapersonal. But how different it is when it's maybe acknowledged at the beginning of the game, right? And I can think about like, it goes back to your hiking analogy. If I had known that you all wanted to do like an 11-mile hike, I would have been like, actually, no, I'm not in for that.
Because I don't actually want to do that.
I don't want to do that. But
I don't want to be included in that.
But thank you for the invitation.
But
As opposed to like not letting you know, and then you show up and then everyone's mad and you're exhausted and everyone's like, we only got so far. So there's something about making that explicit. And I don't,
It's helpful. I mean, when oftentimes when we'll play it, I'll say, this is a learning game. I think I said this about this game that we just played. So this is a learning game. So we're going to be, and I actually sent out a text to people ahead of time just to sort of orient. We have some highly competitive people in our midst that, even on a learning game, it's sort of like, oh, come on. And sometimes as somebody who's teaching the game, I'm like, I don't know that I know all the rules to this game. Just so you know, I'm learning it too.
I didn't know I was supposed to have told you.
That's right. And so that can really get. And so just as a that's super helpful to me. It's a problem to me. But
it also it kind of brings in the fact that you have to know who you're playing with as well,
big time.
right? Like, and the better you know people, then like, okay, I have to maybe explicitly say this so that expectations are there. Because it's a little trickier when you're playing with new people and you have no idea where people are at. But anyway, just thought it was interesting too. Cool. We should continue. I think it's my turn. Right?
Well, I have a question as you think about it. As you think about your turn, I'm trying to distract you from your win condition.
because that
I
runs
am
into
curious about how wind conditions and spirituality intersect for you guys.
Interesting.
So in terms of like I think of the, there's at least in the scripture, this idea of a great cloud of witnesses watching us run a race that's set before us. We have this, athletics becomes some of the themes of the New Testament, not so much the Old Testament or the Hebrew scriptures, but I'm curious about that for you all, where there's intersections or where you find play there. As you go.
Intersection. I'm gonna get
Okay.
2 things, so I will get a grub. And
There was an article I published with a friend of mine who's a pastor in Kansas, where we were looking at like a lot of recent past 20, 30 years, Christian literature looks at Aristotelian virtue ethics as a way to kind of cultivate sort of the Christian disciplines and things like that. And one of the things we were looking at was sort of taking a particular analytic lens, Lacanian lens, to look at that. And so that's kind of where my mind went first, because the idea from the Aristotelian idea is you create patterns that turn into habits, that turn into character, that become formational.
Yeah.
Which one way to think of that is, you create these habits, these goals that are win conditions. Like, I'm going to try to do I grew up in the world of like do your 5-minute devotional every day, and that's what read the Bible, pray, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what
that was your spiritual discipline.
That was my spiritual discipline.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, before I go on, I'm going to play a bird, and I'm going to pay a fish for that bird, as well as that. I think that's my turn.
Was that a nectar?
It was not a nectar. It was a fishy.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, yeah.
And I'm gonna.
I thought I saw you throw a nectar in there. I just wanted to make sure that
I appreciate you helping me with that.
I'm gonna play a bird.
Just to point out, perhaps you're cheating.
I usually am.
And I'll play.
So see what you're speaking to.
So the
Aristotelian ethics.
Yeah, I know it's kind of a long-winded way to get around to that. Actually, one of the things that when we have something we're working towards, a psychoanalytic way of looking at that says you also have an unconscious that kind of wants to keep it away.
Yeah.
Right. If the win condition is something attainable but not attained, when you get too close to attaining something, we sometimes get in our own way,
right,
and kick that can further away, so we can't quite grab it. And I think I looked at myself as a kid, and that sort of dynamic would play out where I wouldn't do the thing that I kept saying I should do. And then I would shame myself for that and blame myself. And so this idea of having very clearly defined goals, win conditions, and spiritual life led to a lot of kind of self-blame.
Yeah.
And then thinking there must be something wrong with me, and sort of that tracked. And so I know for what that led to was for a long time, well, then I'm just not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Which ends up in more of an apathetic type state.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think over the past few years, it's been sort of wrestling with that idea that I think having goals we're working towards isn't inherently bad, but what is our relationship to that? Remembering that those goals aren't the real reason we play. We don't
win.
But you have to have winning to help motivate you, to help us keep moving forward. So there is a goal. There's an imagination.
Ideal of some sort
there's something I'm moving towards, but I have to remember that that's my imagination. That's my fantasy I've created. And I think that works out in our spiritual lives in pretty significant ways. I think there's value in praying constantly, Brother Lawrence type of stuff. Yeah. But then blaming yourself because you didn't do it while you're walking the distance today, misses the entire point.
Right.
And I think that's a big story of what I see in the church in America, at least the churches and the communities I've been in, is mistaking our goals that can push us towards life, mistaking those for the life they're meant to push us towards.
Yeah.
That they become the thing instead of the guidepost towards it.
Yeah.
And then all those things of belonging start getting stirred up real quick. Right. And if I'm not winning that game.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to.
Yeah. One of the. I'm curious, Jermaine, what would you say about is that? I don't know if you have
with the spirituality and win condition. What it sparked for me initially was this notion of like a kingdom ethic of not lack of competition, but I can't it's not competition for winning's sake. It goes against scarcity mentality, I think, is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So when I think of kingdom ethic, I think of there being enough. There are enough games for us to play. There are enough ways in which we can all engage, and that by me winning doesn't mean you losing, in that scarcity sort of mentality.
Yeah.
So I think initially that's what it was. That win conditions and spirituality can sometimes force us into this zero-sum game notion when I don't think that's the point. And so much in our lives are sort of fueled by this notion of there isn't enough, and if I don't, then if I don't get ahead, then I'm at a loss, or I'm not gonna make it, or I won't be enough, or I won't have enough. And this notion that it always comes at a cost to either me or to someone else. Like I have to win, and if I don't win, that means I'm losing and another person is winning. So I think that when we can sort of reorient ourselves to more of a kingdom ethic of there's enough, that in God's economy there's enough. And I still think that it doesn't take away the win condition. It doesn't take away the game per se, but it goes back to what you're talking about, the hiking again. It's like the folks that want to play in this realm have a chance to play, and there's room for you to play as well. And everybody has a place that they can play. And there will be a game where we all play together. So I'm trying to reorient my sort of way of being in a way where if I catch myself being like, I have to do this or else, and I'm like, why is there the or else statement in my mind? And I think ultimately that's a theological stance, right? It's a kingdom ethic. It's a reorienting of what I believe, who God is, and what He's invited us into.
That's lovely. Thank you.
What about for you, Paul?
I'm thinking about that. It's good. It's a good question.
A great question, Paul.
I think maybe how I like how games have taught me about practicing. Like the sort of like there's not a there's like it just you kind of show up and you continue to play.
Like the infinite game you were saying before?
You're exactly right. And so I think that's some of the like part of it is the practice is important. The sort of trying at something, always at kind of being, and I use the language of play a lot. Being at play with something. It's like it's serious play. Whether I'm talking with somebody like about the death of someone who's beloved to them in a particular kind of way. Even that to say I don't know the right way to do that. I just know I want to show up and I want to seek to love there. And for me, I'm deeply grateful for there's a few people in my life who really who call me to that. Who we have a shared, if you will, our win condition is to share grubs. And there was really a sense of we really want to love. We want each other to love well, and so we actually invite each other to do that, and that's really meaningful to me. But I think of that as like that's a shared value. It's a shared win condition amongst us, and it's a place that we show up to practice again and again and again. And when we don't, we say, "Hey, where were you?" I'm grateful for.
That's good.
Okay, so this is where I take a card. This one is not over 75 centimeters wingspan. All right, so I think we're done. Yeah.
Done?
Oh, no, you have one more.
My last one. I'm going to play a bird, and I'm going to play it to right here.
I'm curious.
Actually, I'm not going to play that. I'm going to play it to right here. It's a little rough, but it's going to cost me.
You guys want to play to the end of this game? The end of the second? Those 2 more rounds?
Yeah, what are you guys thinking? What are your thoughts?
All right, we can keep going. Let's see.
Sure, I'm okay.
All right, end of the round.
Oh yeah.
I'm like those because I tucked 2 under there.
I'm wanting to take an action here.
Yeah, end of round.
Okay, so you have the end of round thing. I think you and I tied for first place. Paul gets second place.
I get second place.
Actually, he technically gets third place.
I
Why?
get third.
Because we tie for first.
Tie for
Yeah.
first and second.
And then this goes to Paul.
Goes over to me. And
This is our last one.
our last round.
one.
Only 5 actions in this
So
round.
birds with eggs in that particular nest formation.
Well, what does this mean? Is that just bird?
So bird cards that have an egg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's not number of eggs; it's number of birds
Birds of
that have eggs on your
with that kind of.
with that kind of nest, and you have to have
All right.
an egg on it.
I'm laying some eggs.
You still got them. Okay, you got 2. How many does Paul have?
Well, but then these count as well.
Oh, jeez. See? Okay, I got one of those. I got one of them too.
You just have to put eggs on them.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
I'm gonna get rid of one of those.
All right, that's all good.
This as well. Okay, so I got 4 eggs.
Bless you.
Because I did that, I get to look at the top. Paul, I'm doing a skull and crossbones.
Oh, you're in?
Yes, I took it behind
You got
it.
some-
Yes.
So what do you get?
So I
Succeeded?
get something from the bird feeder.
Hold on, I have to reset the bird feeder. Paul, do you do that? Because then I have to do it. Then I have another one that's happening as well.
Oh, yeah. I'll take this one. Thank you. I'll take this, but you're gonna reset them all.
Yep.
Okay.
Because then I'm supposed to reset it, and if I'm not able to eat one, I can eat one. Cash 1 or 1 from there. So I just succeeded at another one, Paul.
Nice.
It's only once per turn, though.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. And that was my turn.
Once between
Jermaine.
turns. Dang it. So I can't even do it with Jermaine.
Yep.
No, yeah, unfortunately.
You can't do it.
It would have worked if I did it and then he did it,
Oh, that's good.
but because it would have lapsed your turn.
See?
But
One can always pray.
one can. All right, I'm gonna play a bird. Boom. Play this guy here, and he takes 2 grubs and a wheat, which is exactly what I have. Perfect. 2 grubs and a wheat.
Are eggs worth points at the end of the game?
Yes, 1 point per egg.
1 point per egg. Playing this game
And I
a
have
little
to
bit
play
thin on
an
the eggs
egg to be able to do
compared to
that.
you two.
So,
Hmm.
I've been running real light on my egg game
Okay.
compared to you two.
Well,
partially because I was going for that 3,
Totally.
so I was trying to make sure I had.
all right. So I'm gonna play this and. Oops, daisies. I think this was there. Grub.
Don't forget your 2 eggs.
Yeah, my 2 eggs. Thank you. Oops.
Paul,
Yep.
do you currently have any nectar?
I have 1 nectar. You mean in my
plate?
supply?
In
In
his
your
hand.
supply?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a thing that would help me with making a decision.
Oh, thank you.
If you did, I would have been able to gain that nectar from the supply.
What?
But I'm not going to do that thing. Instead, I'm going to, once again, Paul, I'm going to get some more eggs.
All right, go for it.
Paying these 2 to go ahead and get 4 eggs. So Paul, we're going to have a chance to do some more things.
I'm excited.
You should be super excited. And
Yes.
less than 100 centimeters. Yes.
Oh, he gets it again. Everybody wins.
And then this one, I get to activate this. Everyone's a winner. And then I get to grab this. That lets me grab this. And now it's your turn, Jermaine.
All right.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, what am I doing, folks? What am I doing?
Just moving quickly through here.
Yep.
Have you changed your win condition yet, Paul?
About.
I don't know. Since the start of the game. We asked that at the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, I was going for large winged animals. Now I'm going for color animals with colors in their names
Because of your bonus?
because of my bonus.
So you've gone from focusing on. So that's more strategy now. Win condition, really. You're still hoping to win.
Well, I mean, for you, it might be strategy but for me, I'm looking towards
Just colorful birds.
colorful bird, not colorful birds, birds with color in their title.
That's color in the title.
So I'm going to take these
So I have
three,
right now, I'm almost there.
2 nectars and a grub. Because is that because you're trying to just complete that? It's
Yeah.
like, tell me more about that win condition.
Why that win condition?
Yeah.
Well, because it's like I'm so close.
Because you can. It's
Yeah.
what you were saying, Paul. It's like the
It's
attainable.
attainable.
Tuck a thing from your hand. If you
No,
do,
I think that like this game is I never felt like I had the upper hand here. Maybe if I felt like I had the upper hand, I would have. The Wingspan never inspires like you're gonna win this one.
Which is another like aspect of like games and win conditions is randomness.
Yeah.
Right? And we talked about chess before.
Yeah.
Chess and
Yeah.
Go are these classic games with
Yeah.
almost no random.
Yes.
Other
Yes.
than like which color are you?
That's right.
Whereas one of the things that makes a lot of games more approachable, I think, because they're less competitive, is that
How many did you guys?
I think Jermaine, you've played one too many birds. You know?
No,
Did you play?
I think. Well, this would be 2. How many have you played so far?
I have 3 left. I've played 2. I played 2 birds so far.
So I need to play my
this guy
second
did.
bird.
Yeah. I think you shouldn't have 3. You should only have 2.
Oh.
I think you've done all 3 of those actions.
I just did. Because I played a bird. Well, maybe I didn't play a bird. Is that what you're saying?
I don't think you. I think you played a bird because something let you play a bird. I don't think you actually played it.
Okay.
You should have 3
Okay.
left.
Okay. That's fair.
Mm.
But I thought I did play a bird because I was able to play this bird. I'm very confused.
Maybe you didn't get food.
I just got food. And I laid eggs the one before.
Did I do something? But Paul and I both
No.
have 3 left.
Yeah.
Did you both not?
That seems.
I don't know. Did we both do something?
Because I did do those
Did
3
you go out?
things.
Did you go
I
out
did
of turn?
this. I did the eggs and then I did that.
I don't know.
I'm very confused.
Because all I've done this round is lay eggs, I think.
So
But I could be, am I mixing it up with what we did? Roll it back. Just
I know.
Did I play a bird? I'm trying to remember if I played this round. Oh well. I'm going to do this.
So you're saying I should take one back?
I think you should take one back.
Okay.
Wow.
It feels like I'm cheating, guys.
I feel like she's cheating too.
I feel like you're cheating too.
But you told me to cheat. You told me to take it back.
Well, what he's trying to do, he said earlier that cheating invalidates the win.
Yep. I'm trying to take away your win.
Oh, see what he's doing
He's
there?
trying to put an
He's
asterisk next to this win.
Like,
That's right.
Wait a second.
This is how I play.
So
with
did your win condition change?
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, has you guys? Yeah,
Win
that's
at all
the question.
costs.
Has you guys' win condition changed?
Come on.
I feel like for me,
Didn't happen. That has never happened this whole game.
Oh, excuse me, goodness sakes.
there was a point where I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to do all of this here
Yeah.
with this that I don't know if I've kept track of the other.
That's cool.
But draw 4 and keep 1 and discard the to see if you actually get extra bonus cards.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's has it changed for me? Maybe a little. I'm gonna play a bird. But this year it's gonna cost me 2 eggs. So this
No, I
egg
think I'm still
and this
in it to win it.
Oh.
I think I've been in there. I don't think I'm curious. I'm also curious as to how my strategy's gone. Going with I kind of ignored that entirely
Uh-huh.
since I saw Jermaine going heavily
You
for
done?
it. I thought,
Yours?
Yeah. I'm good. Yeah.
Okay.
And I've
What's the other one
also
doing?
wondered. I'm still
Oh, no,
in it
no.
to win it as well, but I've also wondered if by focusing there, if I've maybe lost out on some of these points.
Mhm.
But I also know that given the luck of the draw for me, that
It's worked out pretty well for him.
It hasn't worked out in some ways.
It's actually no, the opposite.
Let me say it this way. It's only worked in the favor of this, but not in favor of other strategies for the game. And that's part of that luck of the draw bit. And I've tried to get more cards, and I mean, I've had lots of cards, but it's not worked out in the way that I needed it to work.
Okay, I get to steal one. Who has?
I have this.
Oh, I do want that. Thank you. And then you get to take one from there.
Which is another one.
That's another one of those. So it's like.
So it's all good. We
You get to draw one card.
We get to share.
It all works out.
Look at these.
All right,
Forest,
again.
like all these forested.
Spending that now
Anyway,
to go ahead and make this. Oh,
I'll take it.
make this 3. I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to do this one. And
Right, here I
all right,
come.
hold on.
Okay.
And I'm going to trade
I only have
this.
2 left.
Yep, that's correct.
This.
Because I only have 2 left.
I'm going to look at that, and then. All right, come on. Once this game. Nope. Not even once this whole game did that ever work out.
I'm trying to think. I think extra food.
35%.
Extra food doesn't count towards anything. What?
Is it 35%, Paul? What's the percentage that it hasn't worked out for me?
Extra food doesn't count for anything at the end of the game, I believe, right? So that's just
the win conditions are according to Jerry Stonemeyer. And Jerry, it's Jerry. It's not Stonemeyer. It's a combination of the two guys. Birds, bonus cards, end of round goals, eggs, food on cards, tucked cards, nectar.
I'm going to go nectar on these guys, not nectars in your hand. I'm going to pick cards, and it's actually not going to matter as much because we're so close to the end. So I'll just take these 2 cards, and then this goes. All players, you're welcome. You get another grub.
Thank you.
Yay!
I get to draw 2 cards,
Put
in
in
the
2
deck.
nectar. Oops.
and you get another card.
We get another card?
Yes.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness. Why couldn't I have drawn this when I did the other one?
Once between turns, when another player takes lay eggs action, the bird lays 1 egg on another bird with a nest. Nice. Okay. 1 turn left.
All right.
Boom,
I'm
boom.
laying eggs, Paul. You can get to do your thing.
Yes. Thank you.
And I'm spending 2
I don't know that I have a
birds.
nest though. Like I don't think I have one single bowl nest.
You mean the we're doing the
3,
the
4.
horizontal nest now.
So I can do a
This nest.
second.
No, but this says once
Second.
between turns.
Oh,
when
that-
another player
sorry.
takes
Second.
lay eggs this then.
I'm so fixated on
I
this
know.
thing.
I understand. That's all right. That's
All right, here we go.
Here we go.
Come on. Little bird. Yes! Oh, I ate it.
What?
I did
He ate something.
I ate a little bird.
What do I get?
I don't know, what does your pink one
Your
say?
little
pink Oh, this one?
Once between turns.
Oh, I gain another.
Oh, and you
Nice.
just
Got it.
I'll take a nectar. Just don't think I'm gonna.
Boop, boop. And that's the end of my game.
all right. I'm
yeah.
gonna get
Okay, I can do that.
I'm gonna do this and spend this because then I get 4 eggs. 1, 2, 3.
One of these
1
did not
goes
give me
here,
almost any
one
points.
goes here.
I am done as well.
All right.
Taking my turn.
End of the round, I can tuck up to 3 of these behind this bird.
Let's see.
Choose. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but you all get a thing from the supply.
Yay! What-
Yay, I got a
Oh,
thing.
I mean, I could choose an nectar, but it doesn't make any sense, so I'm not going to choose it. We're going to choose a wheat. Everyone gets wheat.
Everyone gets a wheat.
Nice. I've been longing for
And
some
then
wheat.
Tuck a
Alright.
bird behind,
All right.
and then if I
I'm ready.
draw
Before we
one.
actually add up the points,
Yep.
curious
Ooh, do
I'm
we
so
get
excited.
Ender.
So,
I get
if we didn't count the points,
Yeah.
would you have met your win condition?
Yes. I did it.
if we didn't count our points.
Like, let's just say we just didn't count them right now. Like, right now. I said we will. I
I'd be
think we should.
satisfied.
But, like, what happens at the thought of that? We're like, okay, great. Well, let's just walk away now.
no, I want to know if I want.
I want to. But I think this is just an I love this point in games where there's that, like, we've
That
now done everything, and now
anxiety,
this is where the tension's the highest. if your win condition is points, right? When we're about to kind of find out who won.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last night we played the game called On Mars, and I could have walked around. I mean, I didn't have the highest points. I knew didn't have the highest points, but that was like I was just making things move and explore. Yeah. Now you though had very high points last night. My guess is you probably couldn't have walked away without adding up your points. Like that would have been. You would have
almost
been
any game. It would be hard for me to walk away without
this too. Like this too.
This part, I'm really curious how this turned out. I don't know that I won. I don't think I won.
What would it be like? What
it would be irritating. Okay, on a 1 to 10, if like 10 is difficult, this would be somewhere around a 6 or a 7 for you.
And I would feel the same. Like I would still wonder, like, but how did I actually? It's like how did I actually perform?
That's so interesting. I'm like a 1 or
You're like you could walk around and be like, that was super fun. I won.
Well, and it speaks to win conditions because you did the thing you wanted. We had our fun. Like this was a fun experience doing it, but it speaks to what you're bringing forward, Jermaine. Of like, what's our win condition?
Totally.
Yeah. And is winning everything. And the one of the questions that I had asked him,
just in case I would win. Just that one or two.
That one point.
It's going to matter.
That would be hilarious.
I really hope that just won the game. Let's just say that did.
Yeah. I mean, there was a question I had you all consider before we know what we're going to talk about is winning everything. Do you play to win, or do you like to win, or do you hate to lose? And you might even, knowing you, Paul, you're like, I don't like that question at all. Like neither.
No, I can answer that question pretty. Like I think for me, it's so interesting because I was thinking as I was preparing for this, like part of what I know about myself is I so desperately wanted to win. Like winning used to be very important to me, but I just could never win.
Yeah. And
so at some point, when you just can't win, it's like, well, I got to search for something. I really like playing games.
Yeah.
I want to figure out what else I can do.
What's going to keep you engaged?
Now, it's not to say that I still win games, like a couple of weeks ago, I just wanted to do this one where with this other game that we played, just had this really high score compared to everybody else. I mean, it was just
it was impressive to watch.
Right. And that was just sort of like, oh wow. But it didn't do much for me.
Yeah. Well, it sounds to me like there's the almost capacity, right? Your capacity, you're realizing I want to be able to play to win, but I'm realizing that my ability, not capacity, but ability to win is here, and it's going to take me this much. So then I needed to sort of like change my win condition.
Yeah,
almost.
Yeah,
That's
my sense. And there would be games like I could get swept up in Paul's competitiveness if I let myself do that. I'd have to sort of. But it's like I'm resistant to just because I don't want to compete at that. Like because then I get swept up into something that feels very probably younger than what I want to step into.
See, one of the things I enjoy these conversations with you, Paul, is how different we are. Because it's like the story for me was so much of like I wouldn't risk trying.
Yeah, totally.
Trying was a risk that was like I don't want to find out I'm not good at something.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be apathetic or I'll goofily engage it, but I would actually find ways to not really put myself out there and try and push myself because I was afraid of what that would find. Again, it's sort of because winning somehow meant something about my value.
Yeah.
And so for me, being able to find spaces where I can try, where I'm able to actually do that, has been really, really helpful. And that's one of the things I love about games. It's a place where a certain part of me is able to just go as hard as I can to attempt to win, and knowing it's really like it's feathers. This is ridiculous, and because it's ridiculous, it feels like it's a safe enough place to try and to win or to not. But part of my enjoyment of a win is being able to feel like the frustration of a loss. And so I like to also hold on to the feeling of a loss and not be a sore loser, but be like. Yeah, because that's actually part of this whole thing. If I only ever feel the joy of winning, it actually loses its value.
Does that fear of losing then drive you to want to be better at games, or what does that do for your like competitiveness, if you will?
So I think there's two. So when I sometimes I'm attuned to I don't want to lose, and that's often when it's more about what's it going to mean to everybody if I'm the idiot, if I'm the one who can't hang? And it's that's when my sense of belonging is feels threatened.
Yeah.
That's when I'm more concerned. That's when I'm like, I just don't want to look.
Yeah.
I just want to feel like I belong.
Yeah.
You know, get solid middle of the pack. I want to be solidly middle of the pack right now. Whereas when I feel like my desire to win is engaged, this is not always, and maybe I'm talking too idealistically here, but there's a sense of like, I feel like I'm invested in the game. There's a Paul that is very present. And a part of me that's able to come out and play.
It's like your skill is
being fine
displayed. Well, it's displayed.
And I'm okay finding out that it's not enough.
Sure.
Like, because it's not enough for this, because this also doesn't mean my value as a person, but it's fun. I enjoy finding out what I can do.
Yeah. Is there a game where your value that it connects to the value of a person?
So chess has been really hard for me in that. And this was like my I always thought chess was a smart person game. Being able to lose a chess game, I think, was something I had to learn how to grow into so I could enjoy the game.
But it's testing your formerly held notions of what it meant for you, right? Like if it meant,
what my value was,
right? If you equated chess to intelligence, then losing meant that you weren't intelligent enough.
And then of course somehow intelligence is correlated in that world to value, which is also absurd, right? Which is also all sorts of problems. Lots of problems there. I'm not condoning that in any way. But
what I find interesting between what both of you Pauls have just said is that in some ways it's sort of tested your ability or your creativity in finding and kind of pushing your ability, right? So your ability to say, hey, I can't win at this, but I'm going to find a creative way to still stay engaged.
Oh my gosh.
And then you're saying, I didn't engage because I didn't want to know where those boundaries were, but now it's kind of pushed me to find a new way of looking at it. So it's almost like this pushing the ability, so to speak, in different ways. Which it's really fascinating.
But for you?
In terms of win condition?
Well, no. Your question was.
Wait, great. I was like, what are we talking about? That's my question.
Should we count up the points first?
I think that, I do. There's something about the competitiveness of it for me. I'd like to win. I don't like to lose for sure. But there's something about what you said about like, if I know I've wrestled well with it, then I'm okay. Like it sort of helped me to get better. And there's a sense of like the competitiveness helping me to sort of expand and grow in a lot of ways, pushing me to become, better at the craft of playing games, if you will. And that could just be part of the sort of achiever within me. But that also comes at a cost, right? Like if I'm only thinking about getting better at something, then it sometimes loses the fun of playing the game.
It becomes work.
Exactly. Exactly. So there's that fine balance between like wanting to be better. So different than what you were saying, right? Like you were afraid of like getting too close and then finding like, I'm not good at it. I want to be better at it, but also, seeing where that balance of, I want to be better, but I also want to engage in a way that's still fun.
Sure.
For me, one of the things that's coming to my mind is times when I've found myself able to really enjoy a loss. Like to have lost, but to actually like kind of really seeing a lot of fun in it. And I'm thinking of one of our friends who's actually the Undaunted game, Stalingrad, playing through that. Right. And I played through that campaign twice, and one of the times second half of it, I just fell apart. But there were some games in there where
it's a legacy game, so you're playing this over.
Whole battle.
It's a war. It's a war game too. 1-on-1 throughout this entire the game. The board shifts. It's
what happens in one game affects next. And anyway, and I loved it. It's one of my favorite games. One of my favorite legacy experiences. But one of the things that taught me was there were times I felt like I would play well, but I kind of enjoyed when my opponent played better than me. And you could see like, oh, you made a really good move there. And I see how that beat me. And I hate the fact that I lost, but I can also really appreciate the play. And like, and the fact that I was so invested actually helped. It was fun. It wasn't just rage. It was actually like kind of, there was actually an enjoyment either way. Because I knew I tried hard, but it was still kind of fun to lose to someone who played really well.
It was like a good loss.
It was a good loss. I was like, I don't regret things.
Yeah, I mean, this again, pickleball. It reminds me of playing pickleball for me. Like if we play a really good match and there's a lot of good rallies and it's a close game and you lose, there is that bitterness of defeat. But you're like, but I gave it my all, and we all showed up. And it's different than getting like pickled where you lose like 11-0, because then it's just like, well, I was outmatched in all.
Yeah,
and I didn't even play.
How was that?
Yeah. Or I made so many mistakes that I defeated myself.
Yeah,
there's that difference.
Yeah, and that's
Do you look back and feel like you lost it?
Yeah.
Or do you feel like somebody beat you?
Yeah. And
And
that's
then
different.
and they're different. Like not that either one's easy, but they're different emotional reactions.
Yep.
Yep.
Definitely.
Okay, so Steinke is 40 plus 12 plus 10 plus 17 plus 6 plus.
While you're adding up, I did want to read this one
3.
quote because I think it's like so interesting.
I won't interrupt.
What is a game? It's tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. It's the possibility of infinite rebirth, infinite redemption. The idea that if you keep playing, you could win. No loss is permanent because nothing is permanent ever. And so this notion of win condition, and it's always about playing and I don't know, self-betterment in some ways. This is from the book
Practice.
Tomorrow. It's practice.
And like Paul was saying about the infinite games.
Yep.
Infinite game versus a finite game.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is definitely an infinite. The playing is an infinite game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's closer than.
No, I think it's 8.
Oh, I think it's gonna be
Nice round number there.
nice.
See what happens here.
See
So
what happens.
88. I have 88. Hoard has 100. Jermaine Ma. There it goes.
See,
92.
92.
he won. This is what I was afraid of. I'm like, I think I'm doing really well, and then in the middle of it, I was like, oh no.
winning
It was about winning.
I also care about winning.
Well, you came in second.
No!
That's probably
Man.
as it should be.
As it should be. But I have dissatisfaction with that.
Do you?
This is typical though, because Paul Hoard always wins. This is what it goes with, like, why people don't want to play with Paul.
I don't know.
Paul,
I don't want to play with me.
always
Well,
wins.
see, all I can say is I won too.
You
You did.
all did
We
win.
all did.
Because
Paul did.
I got
You got your birdie.
Yeah.
35% birds with Wingspan over.
So close. This was when he saw the 100, I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Good work, Paul.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
So, Paul, what's next?
I have no idea.
All right.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
If you all have any suggestions on what would be good next, feel free to drop them into the comment section. But Paul's going to be our host next time, bringing something TBD.
It'll be a fun conversation and game no matter what.
Hopefully.
And also throw in, what's your reaction to Jermaine's question? Do you play to win? Do you play not to lose? What's your win condition when you come to the table?
Till next time. Take care, folks.
Thank you.
Peace, people.